Rob, the West Country Cup in the bag, but a win, but sum it all up really.
Frustrating game, wasn't it? Probably for both sides. I mean, my big frustration is probably just how messy we were really at times. You know, particularly around the tackle area. I think there were times when we didn't really give the ref a lot of chance other than penalise us, because we just looked messy and we were putting hands down in the floor or getting involved in rucks that we didn't need to be involved with. Probably more than anything, probably down to individuals just trying to do too much and have too much effect all the time. I think that's the thing I can put it down to. I mean, we had a week off last week. Obviously, only back in training for a week. And that's what I thought. I thought individual players were probably trying to have too much of an effect too often, rather than just getting on with things and trusting each other and just filling their own roles. So that kind of it fills me with a bit of confidence. Actually, we've won a game here, not really played very well, been a bit individual, and yet, you know, when our backs were against the wall and we had to defend our try line, you know, our 5-metre drives, and when we had to go back and score points, you know, we only actually really looked like we wanted to score points when we had been under a bit of pressure. You know, at the start of the game was exactly the same. You know, we gave away 2 silly penalties really at the breakdown. We end up having to defend 2 or 3 5-metre scrums, push them off the ball, go to the other end of field and score a try, and that was a bit the game. Every time we've been under a bit of pressure and had to respond to something, we could, but it was just the amount of pressure we put ourselves under with our discipline was disappointing, and I was a little disappointed with some of our kind of passive defence. I thought we slipped off tackles and didn't complete tackles a little bit too often as well, but they can sometimes be as a result of a bit of time away. So, you know, the bit of time away, we've only been back in and done 1 contact session, and I think that showed a little bit today.
21 penalties. You know, in a normal situation, a lot of those would have been kicked for points rather than kicked for corners. But in some ways, it's given you practice of defending balls.
Well, as Rob Hunter said, you know, we've probably had 2 months worth of practice in defending balls, and we defend them very well, to be fair. So that's a positive. And I think if the kicks at goal had been being taken, the game would have broken up in a different way anyway. You know, obviously we'd have been restarting into the opposition half, whereas quite a few times the penalties came as under repeat pressure, didn't they? But by going to the corner, you then would create another pressure situation, and so some of those penalties kind of added up. But still, you know, 20 plus penalties and 2 yellow cards is too much. But as I said, where I'm relatively comfortable is I felt a lot of them were individual ill discipline, and so, you know, that's for an individual to stand up and take responsibility and kind of get back into being a rugby player. They've got to trust us that, you know, we want them to stay in system and we want them to just do their roles, and we've got to trust them that if we put them on the field, that they're going to fill those roles and not go hunting for things that aren't really there. Which was ironically the last message I said to the guys in the hotel was, you know, don't go hunting for things that aren't on the pitch for you. But that's kind of what we did. You know, we had a lot of guys looking for turnovers that were never really there. We'd have been better off just, you know, getting defensive line and defending, and that put us under an amount of pressure that we should never have been under.
Bath back to back now, and you know you're going to be facing a different Bath to what you did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but I think we'll be different. You know, we'll be fully back from our time away. You know, the guys now who've played today, they'll be back on form really. They're back as rugby players now. They probably needed to get that game out of their systems, and it'll be great for us to get straight into another match week. I'm really pleased the way the fixtures have fallen for us now, because we get to run in with some, you know, with 2 very competitive fixtures. You know, Gloucester obviously had to come full on here today because it's their last fixture. Bath will do the same, we'll do the same, and then, you know, we should be up and firing. And any issues we were going to have from our time away is good to have them exposed now, which is what's happened. I'm pretty comfortable now. The boys will kind of knuckle down, and it'll be great. They'll have a look at the bit of video, and they'll just have to take individual responsibility.
With any team, winning breeds confidence. So 3 wins in pre-season.
Oh yeah, exactly. You know, winning is a great thing, and the boys have trained really well. Like I say, I'm being very critical of them now. We've won a game of rugby, but I think they're very aware that we, you know, on another day that would have cost us being that ill-disciplined. And as I said, they're a good set of guys. You know, I've got to take responsibility for some of the things we did today, because we did ask them to do a couple of different things with our style of attack, because we wanted to look at a couple of things. I think that did create a little bit of a fractured training week, and probably a bit of a fractured performance from us anyway. And it didn't just show in our attack. It also kind of bled over into our defence and a couple of individual things, and that can sometimes happen. So, you know, I'm more than happy to hold my hand up about that and know that might have happened. But also I want the players to take the responsibility for their little bits and pieces, and as long as they do that, we'll move forward very quickly.